stock options that were absurd and go to zero. We've been rich and poor in the same day.
The same day.
All we really want is to have a company that feeds our family repeatedly, consistently. Right. And I think that's all anybody wants.
So the whole idea with an agent or an employee is that it's not something you just chat to. It's something that actually takes actions on your behalf. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's the power, or chaining those together in some way to handle things in your business.
Yes. Simple stuff like, texting a link to the sign up form. We have workflows now that somebody can call and say, hey, I want a contract on this service. And the AI will collect all the data, put it into the contract template, and send it to the end user. I mean, those things are absolutely possible right now.
So how did you build this? Did you spin off a team, or was this built on kind of the side?
We partnered. So for the hosting, right, we have unlimited websites and the website builder. That's all the Hosterian stuff that we've done for customers. Mm-hmm. At the core, we have Go High Level. Nothing, so any high level developer can develop it. But we're giving, we've built 60 something different snapshots for different industries, in a unique way. And we give that to our end users, right? We've profited off of those setups before, right? We've containerized them, and now we can just hand them off. And we want that to be, part of the value. We partner with Open Exchange, to provide a privately held Google Office kind of environment.
Oh,
right.
Okay. So you're basically are you white labeling these solutions then? Are you?
Go High Level's white label. Open Exchange is our deployment of Open Exchange. We have a team of about 25 engineers.
Hi, I'm Matt Levenhagen, founder of Unified Web Design, Unified Plugins, and your host of the Builders Podcast. Here on The Builders, our goal is to uncover the first principles behind building businesses, products, and services. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe or follow wherever you're listening. And if you find value in our content, a like, share, or review is always appreciated. Let's dive in and explore the roots of innovation and progress together. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, we are joined by Ken Cox. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I very much appreciate it.
So Ken is what they like to call a serial entrepreneur. Why do you call yourself a serial entrepreneur? Let's start there.
I pushed off the title entrepreneur for a long time because I always just thought I was a business owner, operator kind of thing. I've never liked working for a company that I didn't have skin in the game on. So, since I was little, any business that I was working for, I had something else at play inside that business, right? Even going back, my very first company, I was 14, working at a pizza joint, and I talked the owner into letting me having the vending machines out in the lobby, and started my first vending machine company.
Oh, wow.
Right. So,
nice.
I had a very early understanding of that. Just doing the 9 to 5 and having somebody, doing a thing. My stepdad was always like, oh, you got to, get a good factory job and get in the union and get your pension. And I'm like, dude, there's just no way I am going to do the same thing every day for 30 years. Like 30
How do people
minutes,
do that?
30 minutes is challenging, but 30 years, just no way I could do that. So, early on, I decided that was going to be what it was. And then over the years, I kind of pushed off the entrepreneur. I didn't like the word very much. But at this point in my life, I've got, I'm operating business I'm highly invested in financially and physically and mentally and everything else. And me and my wife got a couple businesses running on the side, and I'm juggling multiple brands. We got best-selling author, international best-selling author that last month. So
nice. Congratulations.
Things are, I think I just had to adopt that. And the definition of an entrepreneur is somebody that takes a significant financial risk to go after, to start their business. And I have done that.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel like I finally earned that title, and I can wear it proudly.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's some of us that we just can't settle. We just can't settle into something. It's always like, okay, I'm here now, but I want to do something else. I want to add to this. I want to expand. I was funny when you said about like, like my father growing up, he worked for John Deere for over 30 years, right? He changed his role along the way, but he worked for the same company, same things day in and day out. And I remember when I was in my early 20s, I had one factory job. One day.
Oh, good.
And I never went back. And I said this, especially when I looked at the paycheck, I said, this is definitely not for me. And some of us we're just not made for that. But
yeah, I mean, I've tried every job. And, I think for me, the biggest, heartbreak was to see, I'm an adopted kid, rough childhood, all the bad stuff, a special school district, neurodivergent, everything you can think of. But the tragedy that I saw on a regular basis were my mom and dad sitting on the couch talking about the businesses they wanted to start. Mom goes out, bartends, dad's a baker. They do this, they drink all night and talk about the restaurant that they want to start or blah, blah, blah. And they lived, they did what they needed to do to survive. Right. And I think that was part of their dreaming. But they didn't execute on it. And then, Ron, my stepdad, about 2 years before he passed away, he started his first business. He finally did it. And it was the happiest 2 years, I think, of his life. Like he started a courier service. He left the bakery, started a courier service and was, delivering, to the around and growing that business. And, it was literally the happiest I had ever seen the man, right? Because, it was just wild. And unfortunately, he only got that for 2 years. And
but at least he got it. Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I didn't want to sit on a couch every night watching TV thinking about, man, I want to try to do this or I want to try to do this to finally try to do it just to die a couple years later.
I mean, it's like peeling that apart, like what stops people from making that leap? And it's just the comfort of having that job and that regular paycheck and just the fear of making that leap and taking the risk. But the day is
totally different, right? Like 30 years ago, to start any kind of business, you're talking $100,000, right. Even back then, right? 'Cause rent, all this, everything was so expensive. But now, we've democratized intelligence to $20 a month. Software is wildly affordable. So we're just paying for, you're just paying for storage and connections. Right. Yeah. So we've lowered the price for the technology. We've lowered the price to get the knowledge that you need. It's really, there's never been a better time in the world to start your own business than right now in America, that we have. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm super excited about it. And, the last 2 years with AI have been this really crazy push, but not a whole lot of action down to the small and medium-sized business. Yeah, it can help you, but turning these AIs into actual employees that execute tasks for their company, allows a small business owner to really strive.
Yeah, that's something you're into. We'll get more into that. It is interesting though. It is when you do think back like that. And I had businesses before I got on the internet, and there's all this overhead, and there's, especially if you have office space and all that. But then, when you, like, I discovered the internet, I have been working full time on the internet for almost 20 years. And this, probably in the same room, pretty much, not even probably in the same room. Yeah. Can't see the rest of the room, but I've been running businesses for 20 years. And, but you don't have that overhead. And to see how, like you said, just how technology's developed and how it's become easier and easier and easier, especially with now recent years with remote work, right? I mean, I think figuring that stuff out there's more tools, there's more, things are being built around that now.
Absolutely.
And then you got, the whole AI revolution, which we'll get into. But so let's, So you knowing what you're doing now, what is the story that got you there? Like what kind of businesses were you in, and how did you land on doing what you're doing today? Let's kind of maybe rewind a little bit.
So I'll do a really quick way back little guy. I was in special school district, really had trouble communicating. My mom advocated for me in ways that are just profound, and got me access to technology in 1980. Right. A brother word processor, Commodore 64.
Nice.
Like she got me access to these things so that I could type, because I couldn't spell. I couldn't write. Nobody could read my writing. So I've had a keyboard in front of me since I was 5. Right. And I'll be 50 this year. So that's 45 years of me on a keyboard. And that's where I'm comfortable. Right. And dealing with technology is where I'm really, really comfortable. Fast forward, started working at the age of 11, hustle, the whole time. Loved Main Street America. That's where I really found peace, right? Is the local pool hall, the slot car track, the local pizza joint, the local bar, right? These are places that I could go and talk to people and have a good time. So I've always loved that. I got into the entertainment industry right out of high school. So I was videographer, DJ, filmmaking, all of this stuff, stage management. And I went on a nationwide tour. I finished that tour, and I was supposed to go to Japan. And I told the tour, the company I was working for, Suburban Noise Records was the company that I worked for. I was like, I can't go to Japan. Like, there's no way. They don't sell chicken nuggets there. I can't eat sushi. Like, there's just
the whole reason is just the diet is completely different than I'm used to.
I couldn't do it. Right. So, with my other neurodivergencies, I've got some pretty, profound eating disorders as well.
Okay.
And Japan just was not in the cards for me, especially at that age. Maybe I could pull it now, but 23 years old, going to Japan for a year was just something that I could not wrap my head around. So I said, hey, find me a different tour. And I went to work for this company called Primary Network. Literally temporary, right? Like 3 or 4 months. They're finding me a new tour, finding me an American tour. This is absolutely a part-time gig for me. And I knew computers, right? This is 1999. I know computers. I'd worked for, large computer labs. I was dealing with entertainment. So at the time, nonlinear editing and stuff like that was there. So I knew computers in a way that most people didn't. Instantly, this is in a time we're selling DSL, digital subscriber lines. And I could talk to people about it and be okay. So that's what I got the job for. But literally my 3rd day at work, a suit walks into our office, says, who knows how to FTP? This is 1999, right? And I raised my hand. Like, how do you know how to FTP? I'm like, well, I took an HTML 1.0 class at WashU, right? Like,
nice.
I'm
ready
for a year. And I learned it, right? And I've been dealing with tech my whole life. So this is simple for me.
Awesome.
Walking down the hall, another suit joins. By the time we get to this other room, there's 15 suits with me. I'm like, I don't even understand what's going on, right? No clue. Don't know what I'm doing. All I know is I'm FTPing. Sit down. It was a Mac. I download Fetch, install Fetch, and upload the site. It was Mastercard.com.
What?
Yeah. And
you're kidding.
This kid works for the web hosting department now.
Wow.
Instantly, they handed me Wonder Bread to manage. I didn't get to manage the MasterCard account, but I got to manage the Wonder Bread account. So, the very first sites that I was working on were wonderbread.com, Twinkies.com,
man, this is
Ohos.com, right? Just like huge mega sites that I'm now dealing with. And thousands of other websites that I was managing back then. So
this is one of those scenarios where preparation meets opportunity or something. Is that the way they say it?
Yeah.
And being in the right place in the right time. I think that all kind of fits into this.
Absolutely. But this is like December of 99.
Yeah.
The whole world doesn't even know it's about to change at the turn of the century, right?
Right.
A couple of us know about the Y2K, right? All of that stuff. We're prepping for it. But, it was a weird time. And then 2000 comes. Primary Network sold to another company. I go to work for Empower Communications. I'm a e-commerce analyst. Crappy job, right? But I know how to do stuff in the early 2000s, like encryption and stuff, right? Nobody even understands this thing. And I'm like,
that's real early.
Makes sense, right? I can just rock it out. So, I excelled in that world for a very, very long time, landed some home run deals, but really quickly in that 99 to 2001, Primary Network sold to Empower. Me and Rick Hercules and a guy named Steve Zacks and Brian Matthews got together and said, hosting's not the non-compete for Primary. Let's start a hosting company. So right as soon as we sold, we all go to work for other places, and we started a hosting company called Hosterian. Several months later, we don't do much, right? We're all working our full-time jobs, and we're trying to find customers for the new company, Hosterian. The very first customer I got was IU Kuwait, which was a Kuwaiti Napster in 2000, right? And that's how I learned how to do international business.
Wow.
Which was, this is actually writing blog posts in 2000 was how I was getting business, sitting on sites like Web Hosting Talk and stuff like that and chatting with people. And, less than a year later, I'm working at Empower. We have Hosterian. We have a couple core clients, nothing major, right? And Empower is going to go under. .com bubble hits. Right. Everybody's upside down. And we made an offer to buy the hosting clients that I was already managing and move them over to Hosterian. And they accepted it. And they closed their St. Louis offices, and we took over, and we went from, a little, before that acquisition, we were probably pulling in $40,000, $50,000 a year in revenue. And we were instantly $1 million company with that one transaction. Which was great. And then we hit some home runs. We answered a request for proposal from AOL to build their back office solution and won. So, we got 10 cents per user for a little while until they found a loophole in our contract and bought us out. Or no, I think they intentionally put the loophole in. We were just not smart enough to recognize it. And that led us to land deals with, I got to build and migrate a data center for Peabody Energy. Arch Coal and a lot of the coal companies. And it was just a whole ton of fun until 2016 comes around. My partner, Steve, that we started the company with, dies, he leaves the company of throat cancer, dies shortly later. I get diagnosed with liver disease. All the coal companies in the world file bankruptcy. and we've got giant contracts with providers for, do you remember ISDN lines? You remember modems, right? The modem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So an ISDN line was basically two modems stacked on top of each other, so you get 128 kilobits of traffic through them. We had contracts for DSL lines to mines all over the world, so that they could weigh the data and bring it back to the data, so weigh the coal, and that data was hit the market in real time. So we had 100, and we went way upside down really, really quickly in 2016. And that's when I became the president of the company. That's also when I bought our first boxing school. Me and my wife bought our boxing school because I was suffering from liver disease, and I needed to overcome that. And I started boxing for that. So we started a boxing school. Now is the largest, not just in St. Louis, but in the Ozark 22 district.
So this solved your health problems doing the boxing?
Yes. Actually, boxing has solved almost all of my life issues.
Really?
Yeah.
both like mentally, physically, everything?
Mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever you want to think of. The sport of boxing, learning it, getting to a competitive stance, winning a Golden Gloves tournament.
Oh, that's right. You're a Golden Glove.
Huh?
That's right. You're a Golden Glove.
Yeah. Getting to coach, and then, giving up my desires for what I thought would work and accepting what was working, and then really diving into that. And the youth amateur boxing team that we've created is just phenomenal. And then learning how to teach these kids to go from goober 8th graders to standing in a ring and competing in a combat sport in front of an audience of thousands of people booing them and holding their head high. Learning how to coach that has changed my life more than any single other thing on the planet.
This is fantastic. So I know we're talking about building here, but we have to to build things, we have to have everything else in order, spiritually, like you said, or mentally or physically.
Yeah.
But I find it fascinating when I know other business people or, people that have careers, but they always have this thing on the side. Not always, but many have this thing on the side that they're passionate about, whether it's music, whether it's like for you boxing, that seems to like center you and make you, it just balances you out in a way that, cause you're not, business is hard. Yeah. Doing what we do is hard, but we have this other thing we can look forward to, that helps us in so many different ways.
It becomes a really great kite string, right? Because we're flying in the wind all the time, right? We don't know, sometimes don't even have a reasonable expectation of a paycheck, right?
Yeah, right.
I have issues in my life that other people probably scratch their head. I'm like, oh, I need an extra $75,000 by the end of next week. Right. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to get it. Yeah. And my wife's just like, how do you do that? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for 20 something years.
Yeah. Even depending on the size of the business, it's all relative, but sometimes it's just, a smaller business, maybe like, I need $1,000, but I don't know how I'm going to get it.
Right. So, I'm running a multi-million-dollar company and my wife's running, a $500,000 company, and it's the same problems. Yeah. It's just a different scale. And, those are, at the end of the day, you learn the difference between revenue issues and cash flow issues. And, cash flow I've been way in debt and had better cash flow than having a profitable revenue side, but cash flow's tight. Yeah. Right. It's almost harder to have profitable with tight cash flow than it is with a lot of cash flow and a lot of debt.
Yeah.
But, those are things that you can't ever understand until you've navigated those waters.
Trust me. I probably on smaller scales, but yes. So this is what, man, every time I talk to somebody like you, I think, God, all the stories you have there, all the things you've done.
Yes.
We could probably zero in with just one small segment of that story and pull out a lot of amazing fun stories, maybe good or bad lessons. So obviously you've had one common thing throughout this, is the technology. I think it's great that, man, you were so early on so much of this stuff. I mean, I feel like I go back far, but you go back way further than me.
I've got the white hair to show the age. Yeah. So,
well, I'm 54 this month in a few days.
You look great.
So I just eat well. No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Good living or luck, genetic luck.
I committed to the white beard. I struggled. I fought it for so long, and I'm like, you know what? I tell my kids to be authentic, and if I can't just show up the way I am every day and be myself, then why the hell did I do all of this stuff?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't color anything. I should color it white.
I did for a while.
I could look more distinguished.
Yeah. And I hated it. I'm like, I hate this. I hate trying to keep up with it. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I keep it simple. Yeah. Excuse the interruption, but I'd like to take a quick moment to thank the sponsors of the Builders Podcast, Unified Web Design and Unified Plugins. At Unified Web Design, we specialize in crafting custom websites and providing comprehensive design and development solutions to help businesses build a strong online presence. Unified Plugins offers a suite of WordPress tools designed to help you create beautiful websites, enhance functionality, and drive conversions. Explore how these services can elevate your digital projects by visiting unifiedwebdesign.com and unifiedplugins.com. Now back to our program. So you have that thread. So now the whole hosting thing. Now you had those big contracts with coal companies and all that kind of crap. You became the president. You are now in charge. Well, first of all, how did you navigate through that? And how does that lead into what you're doing today. Now we're going to be talking about AI and AI employees and all that. Where's that thread? How do we get there?
I'll take a really quick jump right back to the beginning. When we had the opportunity to buy those hosting companies from Empower, how we raised the money to do it was, at the time, my stepfather just passed away. So I got a couple $1,000s, literally a couple $1,000s. We went out and we got a group of about 23 different people to raise the money to buy to buy those hosting companies.
Oh,
to buy a generator, right? So this is owning and operating a data center is a highly capital intensive world. I would not recommend anybody to start doing it today, right? We did it in the 2000 because we needed it. One of the partners or a couple of the partners had a large fantasy sports site that they were operating, right? So we got a couple big fantasy sports companies. We had Wonder Bread, right? We had these big customers that were financing a bunch of it, but we still needed cash up front. So I have 24 shareholders. Actually, now I've got 30 total shareholders in the company. So when times got tough, when Steve passed away, the coal companies went. I went to the shareholders. I'm like, hey, the bank's telling me that we should file bankruptcy and go that path, because our largest customers had just filed, right? Within a few months of each other, our largest customers had filed bankruptcy. And my largest shareholder said, we're not filing bankruptcy. It's not happening. You have two choices. I can finance this shutdown of the business and make sure that all the customers land whole, right? Or figure it out. So me being me, I'm like, well,
you figured it out.
Like, this is my baby, right? We built this thing.
Right.
Me and one of my best friends on the planet, Steve, built this thing from scratch, right? And now Steve's dead, and I want to help, because he had this dream, and we had this dream of creating a business that we can work at for the rest of our lives and feed our families well, right? Not rich, but just feed our families well. So that's all we wanted to do, and not have a boss that we had to clock in at 8. And, because I like to come in at 2 a.m. and work sometimes if I need to, spin my wheels, and I can't do that if I work for somebody else.
Right.
So that was the dream. So I said, let's do it. Let's go. But I had that pool of 23 people. One of our software packages we had just sold, to a company called Amdocs. And, so they bought that. So we had some capital in the bank, some cash in the bank. And I reached out to, all those shareholders, said, hey, I'm not ready to be president. I don't think I was, but I didn't know I was, right? And I reached out to the shareholders, like, can somebody come here and help me for this year of transition and figure this out with me? And, Brian came on and worked with me for the year to help me figure out a lot of those things, stuff like, cause I was vice president of operations, right? So I'm all tech before this. Really didn't think too much about the finances or stuff like that. That was Steve's job, right? He did his job, I did mine, and it was a wonderful place. But he was gone, so I had to take on that responsibility, and I brought in help for that first year. And honestly, that first year we didn't know if I was going to be the president, if Brian was going to be the president, what was going to happen. All I knew is that I didn't want to shut it down. Right. This is a place.
You want to protect your baby.
So that we fought for it, and took some time, a lot of negotiations, a lot of hard negotiations, a lot of hard truths, with people. But we got there, and, for the past 3 years, we've been operating in profit. So
wonderful.
Yeah. It makes the bank happy, makes the vendors happy, makes me happy. But I don't know if there's times you could take pay cuts for that. Right.
Right. I don't know if the average person if they've never ever been in business realize the connection we have with our businesses. That it's just almost spiritual in a way. It's like you've put so much blood, sweat, and tears into something, and you have this dream, and you've worked so hard to.
But there's a lot of them that I let go at the waist because I try a lot of things. Right. One of the things that I've always loved about Hosterian is the entrepreneurial spirit. And, if you're an employee and you want to have a website or resources in the data center, those things are available to you. So, we try things and reach out and try to do different things as much as possible realize if you have the taste to keep pushing it or not. And if you don't, shut it down. But,
right.
And really, really work on the things that you want to work on. And that is, shit, if there's an American dream, I think that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding that thing that and you'll know when you find it, and you got to try a lot of different things to get there. Right.
If you're doing things and you're pissed, but you're smiling, you're in the right spot.
It's like, God damn it. And then you're like, oh, I love this.
Okay, I'll try it again. I'll try it again, but change a little bit, right? That's why what I like about boxing is that it just never ends. It's this constant,
iteration,
small changes and small techniques and small strategies to improve your day. And that's really what business is. And
I run a web design development agency, and 2024 sucked. I'm just going to put it out there. We plateaued. We solid growth for years, like predictable. And then 2024, for all kinds of reasons, it just kind of, things didn't go as well as I had hoped. But the beginning of this year, hockey stick. I don't even know what's going on in my head right now. But that's business, right? I learned a lot of lessons last year that I'm applying now. And even as we rebound, I'm going to be better and more efficient and better at what we do. But that's business. You're going to have those ups and downs, but you're going to know, like, through that experience, if this is your thing, because you're going to be completely committed in there. We're going to ride this out. We're going to figure it out day by day.
Yeah.
Or you quit because it wasn't your thing.
Who's the guy that pushes the rock? Entrepreneurs love this guy. Pushes the rock up the hill and keeps pushing the same rock up the hill all the time. It's a religious guy. I think he enjoys pushing the rock. If you don't enjoy pushing the rock, then don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a pain, but you somehow enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to enjoy that process or you're going to quit, because it's,
right.
There are moments of absolute, you've got to look in the mirror when you have failed at everything, right?
Well, and you don't
mind, everything you're looking at is failing, and you've got to look in the mirror and figure out how to stop that from happening and overcome all those challenges, right? Angry
sometimes you think, though, along the way, you think you have it figured out, right? With, like, you get too confident, and then business is going to just knock you back down. You're like, no, you didn't learn this lesson yet.
There are definitely times where it feels like you're magic and you just wave your hand and everything happens, perfectly. Those moments are there for sure. And they're there probably more than you realize it. But there's some hard times too, right? Not understanding why the bank won't give you the loan. Those kinds of things. And it gets really confusing from time to time. And then what you end up finding out is that, I didn't build a relationship with this banker. Right. This is, and when you do that, then the loans come easier. Right. Mm-hmm. And, building relationship with your shareholders and building relationships with your stakeholders and your clients. So that's what it's all about. Yeah.
There's a lot of different pieces, and you have to pay attention to a lot of them, most of them, all the time. And it shifts because now, like I said, after last year, my focuses and priorities changed a little bit, and hopefully going forward, we won't have that same problem. But, so you've gone through that. You went through, those challenges and stuff. Where were we? So how did you end up? So let's talk. Maybe the next thing is, when AI became a thing, and how did you, like, you're doing Hosterian?
Yes.
You still have that, right?
We still have a Hosterian. It's still a multi-million-dollar company, still hosting, wonderful set of clients, but that is a product called co-location. Nobody knows what that is. Except if you need it, right?
Yeah.
So my sales cycle for co-location in St. Louis is, if you Google co-location in St. Louis, I'm going to be up there and I get the bid because there's 5 of us, right? There's not that many of us. And I always get the bid on them. And I went on price and tech are the 2 things that I went on, right? We do tech differently. than other people at Hosterian. Mostly the cooling infrastructure, which I get super excited about, but nobody else will. So we won't go too deep into there. But and then at Hosterian over the years, we've had all these small hosting companies, right? Like the smaller side. So to make sure that we're giving them the right services under the right platforms, we're kind of splitting Hosterian and InLink into two different. So InLink is it's more of our brand for, the small and medium sized business, the solopreneur, right? And we're not cheap, but we're not expensive either when you really get in and look at it. Unlimited websites, unlimited users, unlimited contacts inside your funnel, right? We've got all of our AI employees that help you do different tasks and things like that. And because the support cycles and everything are different when you're talking about a Fortune 100 company and your local gym or your local med spa, your local veterinarian, right? And what we've been able to do is take the processes and the tools that we have for the Fortune 500s and put them under this InLink umbrella at a price point today because of AI that is palatable and saves a ton of money and lets people run at a pretty fast rate without having a whole suite of different tools that they have to go back and forth with. It's all under one hood.
So okay. So how did this grow out of like what you were doing? Like did you see a need there? Did you see a problem that you were solving? What was?
These are services that my small and medium sized business customers have been asking me for. Okay. Right. So that and something at Hosterian, if you ask for a solution, we find it. Right. Gotcha. That's what we do. We are custom solutions. Right. Okay. So then we keep building these custom solutions for these different companies.
So Hosterian isn't locked into this. This is who you serve, but you're actually the core of Hosterian is to create those custom solutions when you see a problem or somebody's coming to you.
Yes, it was for a very long time. So now that we've matured enough that where we're saying, okay, now Hosterian is co-location, and it's going to be some time, and InLink is our small and medium-sized business brand.
Gotcha. Okay, got it. Okay, and now InLink, though, you're building all this stuff, CRM, hosting, all that stuff under one umbrella. So when a small business needs solutions, they don't have to go to all these different places. They got it all in one place. That's the goal. Yeah. Are you there yet?
Steve was my predecessor, and he used this, and I'm not a sales guy. I'm an ops guy, right? So I have to learn how to have technology be my sales arm. And that's really what I've been doing. But he used to use the line in sales calls all the time, said, we want to be your one throat to choke, right? Because when you have a problem, you need to know where to go. Because right now, if you have a problem, you go to your web developer and they point at GoDaddy, and GoDaddy points at your web developer, and your web developer points at this plugin, and it's this constant thing. And the end user just sitting back there and like, man, I just want my damn calendar to work.
Welcome to you just described my world.
Yeah. And, so we want to just be that for the end user, right? Yeah. And do that at a reasonable rate that makes us happy and makes them happy and creates a tremendous amount of value inside their company, right? Yeah. I'm not interested in selling a piece of software that does not create a tremendous amount of value inside your company. And I'm just not.
So how did you build this? Did you spin off a team, or was this built on kind of the side?
We partnered. So for the hosting, right, we have unlimited websites and the website builder. That's all the Hosterian stuff that we've done for customers. At the core, we have Go High Level. Nothing, so any high level developer can develop it. But we're giving it, we've built 60 something different snapshots for different industries. In a unique way. And we give that to our end users, right? We've profited off of those setups before, right? We've containerized them, and now we can just hand them off. And we want that to be, part of the value. We partner with Open Exchange, to provide a privately held Google Office kind of environment. Oh,
right. Okay. So you're basically are you white labeling these solutions then? Are you? Or how
Go
does
High
that
Level's
work?
white label. Open Exchange is our deployment of Open Exchange. We have a team of about 25 engineers that
Okay.
took Open Exchange and deployed that. And then, part of that is we built that for Hosterian because we host email for one of the largest companies in the world. With AI, there's been a ton of phishing and new kinds of attacks. So we had to answer those. We had to answer those for corporate America. We answered them for corporate America. Now we're bringing them down to the individual user. Price competitiveness. We save a lot of money if you've got 10 or 20 users or more. Save you a lot of money over Microsoft or Azure or any of those guys. But at the end of the day, I won't sell your data. I'm not going to use your data against you. I'm not going to sell your data. If any government official wants your data, they'll have to follow the proper procedures to make sure that they get it. And that we'll make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, before we hand over any of that data in a legal case. And it's just a different kind of environment to live in.
Okay. So you've partnered with you do have a core team that's that put this all together and maintains it.
So,
and
the big difference in the high level is you get all the snapshots. We're not putting any restrictions on it. Just go. The AI.
So explain what high level is for those that don't know.
Go High Level is a. Chances are, if you've ever bought a high-end ticketing funnel, you've bought it from the company you bought it from, deployed it in Go High Level or ClickFunnels, right? Is probably that's where they deployed it. Unless they specifically told you it was WordPress and they were going to build your funnel in WordPress, it's probably in Go High Level or ClickFunnels. That's just the way that is. So when we're developing who we're going to partner with, Go High Level was a very obvious choice, right? Now, Go High Level isn't built for the end user. It's built for the agency. So we put Hosterian's hosting in there, right? So we took Go High Level's hosting out, put Hosterian's hosting in. We put our support staff in there. So while you're in there and you're doing something and you need help with something, you just click the help button and we're in there live chat with you.
You're the ones. Okay.
And then if you need additional help, we'll jump in a Zoom with you, right? We do an onboarding call right out of the gate. And if you buy our unlimited AI employee package, a month later, we do a strategy call. All right. So an onboarding call is not enough anymore, right? Just the 1 hour onboarding call for the software. A month later, we do a strategy call. Then we offer that on a monthly basis. If you want to have, hey, we're going to jump on you're going to be doing stuff throughout the day, right? And we're here for support on that. But there are other things that you might not be seeing inside your CRM that we can really help with. For example, if you're doing a webinar, you need triggers to follow up with the people that showed up to that webinar and people that didn't show up to that webinar, right? So that's what those strategy calls are for, to help you figure those things out. I have a very firm belief that the owner of the business needs to own their marketing. They need to have that inside their house. They need to own it, not some firm that they paid $10,000 to build them a funnel and walk away. Right? We've built all the funnels there are in the world. We don't need to keep building funnels. They're drag and drop now. What you need is the tool to keep following up with those. Maybe some strategies on how to push traffic to them. Maybe some strategies on how to follow up with them. But, these tools have been democratized so much that they're available to you. Tuesdays we help teach people for free on how to set up AI employees inside that system to do stuff like answer the phone, answer their Google reviews, answer their Facebook reviews, be their live chat, right? All of those tactics that kind of the front desk duties, we can replicate a front desk staff really nicely now that works really well, is transparent, and closes the loop for your end user very quickly if they get frustrated, to get them to a real person, right? And answer 80 to 90% of your calls. Send me a schedule. What are your hours? Right? How do I get to your, location? Those kinds of questions.
Right, the simple ones, yeah.
Repeated, right? So
interesting. So what? God, there's so many questions I could ask you. Are you? So you built all this with the team. You got it all to. You're using these different solutions, kind of building all taking all these solutions, baking it all together, so the end user doesn't know. They're just going to use these. They don't care if it's high level or what it is.
We have a white label go high level, but we don't hide it. Right? They're a partner, and they're a partner for a reason. They're hands down, I think, the best CRM solution on the market today for the price. Right?
Yeah. Were there any challenges putting all these things together? I mean, like
ton of challenges. Yeah.
What was some of the bigger challenges you had to overcome?
Well, so Open Exchange is a monster in itself, right? I mean, it's a giant infrastructure. We had to build it to be able to handle, hundreds of thousands of users and millions of messages a day. That's where our core functionality lies. So that was kind of fun for us. Go high level is great. It can be your entire shopping cart. It can be all those things, but it's not great at tying in different vendors from different locations and then putting them all under one hood. So, we, luckily we know how to write back offices and deploy back offices. So, we partner with WHMCS for our provisioning and deprovisioning and billing and stuff like that. So, for our deployment, go high level isn't the solution for that, but the local gym, it absolutely is. Right. It can be all your products, all your services and all that stuff. It can be all your merch, all your retail. But for us, it wasn't, because we're selling other components from other things, and we need other very specific webhooks to provision a web hosting account and give you unlimited web hosting accounts and things like that. So
you must have some kind of like middleware or like does everyone get like a different portal or dashboard depending on what pieces they need or who they are based on like
so when you log in to our accounts.InLink, you'll get the dashboard. If you have Office products, you'll be able to log into those. If you have the CRM, you'll be able to log into those. And right now, that's really all we have is the Office product and the CRM. That's the only two things that we're focusing on right now.
Right.
And the focus on the CRM is getting Main Street America trained on AI employees. I think this is probably a 5-year run before it's kind of like, 97 to 2002, where every company in the world needed a website. Every company in the world is going to deploy AI employees.
Okay, so let's get into that. So you have all this infrastructure, you have all this solution, but it sounds like your end game is to turn this into kind of a solution that helps you manage AI employees, as you call them, or what do they call them in the AI world? Agents is
what they're called traditionally. We filed for the trademark for AI employees as a telephone. As a telephonic function feature, right?
Nice.
It was an epiphany to me. So I mean, right when AI came out, I was dumbfounded, right? Because I know algorithms, I know if this thens at Wild Street, and I've always this is like all AI, and I've said this multiple times pre 3.0, Open AI 3.0, right? Or I would say even 3.5, right? I'm like, oh, they're really fancy queries.
Right.
Right? Yeah. It's just a really fancy query. That's all it is. And then 3.5 landed. It's like, holy shit, this is different. Like,
what, 3.5 or 4.0?
3.5, I think. GPT 3.5 came out.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is different, right? I guess that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. And not that long ago. It's crazy.
So instantly I'm like, I need to get as much into this as possible. So I went to MIT's Business for AI program. It's like a 16-week program. Went through that. Got really deep into being able to set up an Open Llama stack from Facebook and, learn how to install that, learned what vectors were and transformers and all this stuff, right? Because unfortunately for me, I can't work on it unless I understand it.
Right.
There's still some magic in AI that I don't understand. Right. And fortunately, nobody does.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time in Bitcoin world. So I knew CUDA, program AI. I know GPUs, right? Because I did all that, the Litecoin and Bitcoin mining back in the day. And I'm like, oh, the infrastructure looks a lot like old school Bitcoin mining. It does. Which is kind of weird. But so I was able to set these stacks up very easily. And then I'm like, okay, these are great assistants, right? They can do stuff. But it wasn't until probably October of last year, where it's like, I was talking with somebody and I'd heard the term AI employee, and I was talking with somebody like, oh, I see the problem. People think that AI just solves every issue, right? But if you stop and you start managing them, individual silos like they're employees,
right?
It changes the game. It changed the game for my wife, who is not a technology person at all, right? She's anti-tech. She wants to call everybody, do everything, right? All these things. And when I started saying AI employee, she's like, how's that work? I'm like, well, you have to manage them, right? Each employee has its specific task, siloed. And then you remove all the hallucinations, right? Because AI hallucinates the same way humans hallucinate. Hyper intelligent people have conflicting ideas.
Too much stuff, too much going on. Yeah,
when, you know, most people can't have two different narratives in their head at the same time. Fortunately and unfortunately for me, I can. Right? but it does lead to hallucinations. And the same thing happens in AI, right? You give it too much stuff, and when two things conflict, which will in sales, marketing, operations, finance, you're going to have conflicts of interest in all of those things, and the AI doesn't know what to do. But when you train it hyper specific for this task, it does really, really well. And there's no emotion when it does do something wrong, and you have to put the guardrail on it and say, hey, you did this wrong. This is how I want you to do. So you don't even have to tell it you did it wrong. You just say, this is how I want you to handle this moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. But what I realize is that the system today, nobody's teaching anybody how to do that. People are scared to death of AI. So we want to teach them, this is not that hard. Programming AI is like, it's easier than helping an employee overcome some kind of tick that they have, right? Your AI is going to have ticks. It's okay.
It's going to have a lot of ticks. Yeah.
You know, but if you manage it and you think about it that way, and I've got my front desk staff is not in charge of calling all the leads anymore, or messaging all the leads anymore, or answering all the Facebook reviews anymore. Their job is now managing the AI employee that does all those things, catching the nuances, fixing them, but they can't wait 3 days to put a trouble ticket in to fix that. They need to fix it real time and have a team that either is there for them to fix it real time, or they have the ability to log in and do it themselves.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've talked to a few businesses that are, in AI and or programmers even and stuff. And I just always think, like, you go back to the early days of AI where they were very narrow. They would do a very specific thing. They would just be really good at chess or Go or whatever. And, and that was their thing. And they got really good at it because that was their whole world. And then I felt like we got super broad. Now we have this chat GPTs and stuff that they are like general. They can do everything, which is good. But now you almost have to go back to training to be more narrow, taking that as kind of your baseline, and then putting those guardrails up. Right? That's how I feel about it.
To work for you. Yeah. Yes. Right. Because
that's what custom GPTs are basically designed to do too. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. But, you can build custom GPTs and have it kind of, that is a little scattered. If you go absolutely, you can go that way. I go that way a lot, right? But my mind thinks that way. I don't think the average gym owner or the veterinary clinic has a person on their staff that thinks like that. So, my specialty in this world that I've had is being able to take technology and bring it to an end user in a way that they understand it. And I've missed a lot of boats. I came on the .com world in 1999. Had I been there 5 years earlier, I'd have, all these different .com names, and I've got some really good ones.
It's just like, man.
The AI employees today, I think, is going to be a huge, huge push, right? And we want to be there to help that small business owner do it in a way that they've not been able to do it before, with a company that's been here for 25 years. It's going to be here for another 25. So you don't have to worry about the swing and miss marketing firms that so many small business owners have been taken advantage by.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like you have the AI employees, and you are basically creating the environment or the structure for people to implement these in their businesses with all these tools you have.
Yes.
So the whole idea with an agent or an employee is that it's not something you just chat to. It's something that actually takes actions on your behalf. Right.
Absolutely. And
that's the power, or chaining those together in some way to handle things in your business.
Yes. Simple stuff like, texting a link to the sign up form. We have workflows now that somebody can call and say, hey, I want a contract on this service. And the AI will collect all the data, put it into the contract template, and send it to the end user. I mean, those things are absolutely possible right now. And not that hard to do, right? But the company needs to own that, because there's bumps. There's going to be bumps, right? You need to learn how to do this stuff. You need somebody in your company that knows how to do these things. And this is not a $100,000 a year job that somebody has to have, right? This could be, I think if you're good in a browser, I think you're still going to use GPT, right? Like, hey, if you were an AI employee, how would you say this? Right. I think that's what GPT is good for still. Chat GPT or Claude or Grok 3 is out now. Any of these AI tools that you're using are still going to be part of your collaboration. AI employees are not part of your collaboration. You have to look at them as, hey, here's what you do. Here's your guardrails. Talk with my clients, fill out forms, do these jobs, right? But don't go off thinking on your own. Like, nobody wants employees that are thinking like engineers and stuff like that. Yes. But your front desk staff can't be thinking on their own and coming up with new ideas for your business. Right? Yep. It's dangerous.
Yeah. Going off the rails.
So you need to make sure that those things aren't happening. And that's why we narrow them down super specific for each one of these jobs.
That's great. So this is, and you're so well positioned now. This is, I think 2 years ago, even a year ago, there were still businesses trying to what is this AI thing? Do I even need it? And then you start to realize, everyone else, all my competitors, everyone's going to be like, I'm going to fall behind if I don't use it. Now, as people start talking about agents or employees, AI employees, like in a few years, I feel like everyone's going to be using them and need them in some way.
There's going to be a differentiator. We've lived the last 10 years as winner take most. Amazon, Microsoft, all those guys. Even when you look at your local plumbing shop, right? These bigger plumbing companies come in and consolidate the smaller guys because the smaller guys just can't compete with the tech that they have. I think we're going to see a big turn in the world this next 2 or 3 years. And we're going to see a lot more of these micro companies kicking up, small and medium-sized businesses. And InLink is here for those people, right? That's who we want to service is, hey, I have a dream. I don't need to make, it goes back to why we started Hosterian of, I don't need to, we've chased the .com dream. We've had, stock options that were absurd and go to zero. We've been rich and poor, in the same day.
The same day.
All we really want is to have a company that feeds our family repeatedly, consistently. And I think that's all anybody wants.
Yeah.
So this chase of $1 million companies, man, there's, a lot of plumbers that can do a really good $250,000 a year business just by themselves. But now they don't have to struggle with the secretary. They don't have to struggle with the Google reviews. They don't have to struggle with all those things. We can show them how to create employees in AI that do that for them at a hell of a rate, man. If you go to our webinar, we're selling unlimited AI employees for $250 a month.
Wow. That is a good deal.
Yeah.
So we kind of defined, that's actually really good. So we've kind of defined who your, who's your avatar, who's your, who's best suited for like what you provide for this service. And then tell us, how they can jump on board. You have a webinar. And
Tuesdays at 4, we have our webinar. If you go to inlink.com, you can sign up it's absolutely free. That is specifically for AI employees. We have, I think, 65 different snapshots from podcast hosting to veterinary clinic, massage parlor, like everything you can imagine for the years that we've built for different people. Those go in at no charge. So, if you're a small business and you want to really get into technology, you're struggling with some things, or, you're just paying too much for you've got a $50 Calendarly, you've got a $50 PandaDoc, you've got a $50, we've got about $7,000 in monthly recurring software packaged in there. Course Builder, like whatever you need, we're there, right? So it's really, it caters to the ADHD mind. The solopreneur that needs to try multiple things, unlimited websites, right? You buy the domain name, add it. We don't care. Like it's a couple pages of content that you're going to have up on the server. It doesn't, once you're under the hood, I think most business owners know this hopefully by now. A major part of the cost is acquiring the customer, of having a customer, right? So once you're in there, giving you these extra value propositions is a no-brainer for us. Because in today's world, acquiring customers is one of the more expensive pieces once you have the infrastructure.
Good stuff. Well, that was great. It's great to hear your journey. And I mean, just somebody that has so passionate and has, kind of found their thing in life, technology and all the stuff you're doing, and becoming a serial entrepreneur, and it doesn't sound like you're slowing down. You still got the energy. You're still, it's going to be interesting to see what you do in the next few years, decade, as things progress.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Last year I was working on, privacy and stuff while we were building, on the front side, I was dealing with privacy policies and things like that.
Yeah.
Which does not get very much attention at all. But in the background, we were working on this project, and it's been a ton of fun. And, we launched in January, and we were already getting, we don't even have our branding done yet. Like we have the whole website is kind of this kind of hodgepodge together, quick and dirty, get it up and running while our actual branding and stuff is happening in the background. So I think, hopefully by March, we'll see a whole new website up.
Good stuff.
But it's a run before you crawl world.
We're here. Sound like you're excelling at it. Well, thanks again. And thanks for sharing everything, sharing your insights and it's been a fascinating conversation. I've learned a lot, and I know our audience will. Until next time.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And Unified Plugins offers tools to take your WordPress projects to the next level, helping you build beautiful websites, enhance functionality, and drive more conversions. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with somebody who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building with intention and creativity.